yeah, like for instance, I did a concert a couple of years ago for Imagine Dragons, and we were
Very cool.
shooting, and I was on the floor, and my job was to be on a gimbal, and I was going back and forth following the lead singer on this catwalk thing. It was epic because at one point he jumped off the stage and ran through the crowd, and I looked around and I'm like, all right, no one else is going to jump on this. I guess I'm going to do it. So I start booking it with him, and I'm holding the gimbal, and I'm running behind the singer, and he's going through people, and the people are spreading out for him, opening up the seas for him,
and they're just crushing it.
And then the seas just go behind for me, and I'm like jumping through people, and if you watch it, there's a shot where you see the shot of me jumping on stage with him and running. I like totally nail somebody, and like people are like punching me and like all this stuff, and you just gotta keep that shot,
but stay composed while you're getting beat up by a crowd.
But like, it's pure chaos. Like there is nothing else to describe that moment other than like adrenaline and chaos. And then but because I've been shooting for so long, like I was able to stay in the zone and stay focused and keep getting the shot while literally everything is collapsing behind you.
All right, welcome to episode 2 of A Filmmaker's Journey. Here we are, Filmmaker's Journey. Today we got a special guest, James Terry. James,
what's going on?
My number one first friend I've ever had in the film industry. Do you know that?
Really?
Yeah, you.
I was, huh? Oh, wow.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Because we met in broadcasting at UVU.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. We were watching volleyball, sitting there, and we're like, so what's your story, man? And what's your story? We were just sitting there waiting for the game to start.
We wanted to be like sports. Like I just remember you and I related on like wanted to be in the sports world, filming. Yeah. Whether that's cameras, directing, running the board, running camera on the floor. I just remember that was it.
Yeah, dude.
But you didn't know that. So.
I had no idea. Dude, I had no idea.
And that is why
that's fantastic. Oh, wow.
Okay,
we're all here.
Started in high school, went to UVU, and that's where I met James. So
nice. Oh, dude,
James,
that's right.
This is about you. This is about your journey. And before we go back in time, I want to hear about where you're at currently, like what you are. James Terry DP. What do you do? What's your career like? What do you do for work now that you're this far? And then maybe a little bit how long you've been in the industry.
Okay. So the first thing was right now I currently do all sorts of different projects. I label myself more now as a cinematographer, a DP, but cinematographer because I do commercials, TV shows, but then I also do a lot of Amazon product shoots as well with another friend.
Still do that.
Yeah, with a friend from UVU.
Nice.
We kind of started working on this thing together, and just kind of all over the place. And I've been doing a lot of documentary work.
Yeah.
A lot of like run and gun, like go out, here's a camera, and good luck, type of stuff. And like you don't know what kind of situations you're gonna run into, like lighting wise, like you have minimal control. And so that's kind of been what I've been doing a lot lately, and just trying to.
You're freelance.
So I'm freelance, so I work with so many different productions. Work with all sorts of different people, different crews, and each crew has their own style, their own way, and so trying to like navigate that.
But I'll still have
it be my stuff, and be cool and not like so that's kind of where I'm not playing politics, but just trying to adapt. I think a lot of filmmaking right now is adapting to the technology, and like if you don't, it's kind of like you get stuck in a rut, and then you keep doing that same thing over and over and over. Where I'm trying to take the approach more right now in my career, where I've done the commercials, I've gotten the views, I've helped with the sales, I've done all that, and I'm trying to see how can I take that and apply it to, just being very loose, very adaptive, like very small, but also like impactful. And I think that's where a lot of technology is right now. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can mix the two. So
being that guy that people call that doesn't necessarily, like, you're coming as a package. Like, I assume you have cameras, so you're trying to be, when you say you want to be small, you want to have a small rig.
Yeah, like have a small rig, or just like when you go to a shoot, like I do documentary work a lot, and I work on these little featurettes, and we go to different places all over the country, sometimes even world, and we interview these people, but most of the time you don't have the luxury of a grip, a gaffer, the whole thing, you know. So you kind of have to, you know, you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out, but you also are given like, no, they want it to look like this, and you're like, okay, well, I could try to make it look like that, but this is the limitations. But you try to adapt and try to just be loose and more of a chameleon, just kind of just being all over the place, you know, and try not to wear too many hats.
You're trying to like just make sure you're the DP.
But yeah, I'm trying to be like, I'm the cinematographer.
I'm not a gaffer. I'm not a grip.
And so like I want, that's kind of something that I've been trying to master recently, is just trying to be that like natural DP, where you're thrown into a situation, you have no idea what kind of lighting is going to happen, you have no idea who's going to be there, if it's going to be crowded or not, or if you're, you know, you try to plan for all of that, but ultimately, like, I guess somebody that's just a problem solver. I guess.
You feel like you thrive in like chaotic which, let's be honest, film is chaotic. It's always solving problems, right?
Absolutely.
Do you thrive more in the chaotic stuff, or do you thrive more when you show up and you're the guy, you sit on your Fisher dolly and you push record and you compose the shot, you tell people where to put the lights? Like, do you like that, or do you like to show up and be way more hands-on?
I love it both. I like both ways, because I still do both. Where I could show up and it's all lit, we're on a set, you know, the full thing, where I'm just on a dolly a lot of the time and just doing these fun shots on a set. But then there's times where, like, I was in Bermuda and Uzbekistan, and we were running down some busy streets, and you have no idea what's going to come around the next corner. So you're just running, and then you're doing interviews also. Like, if you go to a city and you have one day to be at that city, and you have to interview 3 different people, and you have to have 3 different locations, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, we want one outside. It's raining outside. What do you do? And so you try to figure out, like, if you have a plan and then you go out and scout it, and then it just falls apart completely on you, and which happens more times than not. And just trying to be that person that could come in and be like, no, I could solve this. Like, let's take a step back. Let's take 5 minutes to step back, and how can we problem solve this? So I like both those, like,
that's cool
situations.
Because, like, I've been in the DP world, and I would say I'll get on my high horse. I love it when I can, like, let me back up. Being a DP and understanding light and how you're basically using a paintbrush. You have all these paintbrushes, and you've got these different colors, and your diffusion, and you're making things, you're painting shadows. When you can just show up to a set and you see what you need to shoot, and you can be able to tell people, I want this light here with this diffusion. I want, this light there. We need all these things, but you see it before anything's even in place. And then as soon as it's like you already see the picture on the camera, and then you light it, and you're like, that's what I was looking for. That you make minor adjustments. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that fun though? When you I see her like painting a picture.
Yeah, when you're painting a picture, and that's what I guess I love about both of them, is that, like, when you're in that natural setting, you have to understand light. You got to understand where is the sun going down. Is the sun going to hit here? Like, you have to put it in your light perfectly where you want the sun, so you're enhancing the sun. But then like when you walk on a set and you got nothing, and then you just like boom, 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 and things start lighting up and stuff, and you're just like, all right, this is turned out pretty cool. I remember a set where I did a commercial campaign for a mattress company. It was a zombie apocalyptic type of commercial. But they wanted to do 3 different spots, 3 different stories, but they wanted to shoot it all like a horror film for each one. And so when we shot at this house that was haunted for real, and we were there all night shooting, and once you kind of get the scene set up and like the dolly, like we had this shot where this little girl is walking down these stairs and she's like holding a teddy bear, and it's like just this slow creepy shot, just like following her down the stairs.
There's little girls there in a haunted house.
Yeah, and so we're
fine.
And she was, yeah, she's okay. But like when we were doing that shot, I was like, because I had the light coming through the windows, we had light upstairs, we had all these different kind of practicals going on, and then you're like feeling it, like you're like, oh wow, like when you're in that moment where you're like, this is gonna be cool, like then that's probably my favorite moment, for sure, is when I'm seeing like those like things just line up just right.
They come to life,
and and you're just like, all right, I'm into this. So, and that was one of those moments where I was like, when we were filming, I was like, this feels like one of those behind the scene movies that I used to watch when I was a kid. I feel like I'm doing it. You feel like you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. So
that's cool. And as you're talking, it's like I say, I like to show up to set and be able to paint stuff with other people. As you're talking about like natural light and sun and sunsets, like I have to retract my statement. I actually like both. I'm with you, because I'm imagining even when we were in like North Dakota shooting together and we're chasing that sun, and your adrenaline's rushing. Like how many times I've done that where I've been out and about shooting for someone, and you've got 20 minutes, and it's like go go go. There's that adrenaline, and there's those moments, and then as soon as the sun dips, it's like wow.
Yeah, and I remember that very night when we were doing that, and we both looked at each other. We're just sweaty in the middle of this field, and we're like,
I was flying the drone,
and we're like, oh man, some good stuff, dude.
But what I learned about you on that trip specifically is, my gosh, you don't stop. you go and go, and the sun's down, it's dark. We're like, hey, this isn't usable, James. I don't care. I mean, you just keep going until the sun's going. Yeah, I want to keep going. I learned a lot. Like you're one of the hardest working filmmakers, videographers, whatever we want to call it, that I've ever worked with. Next to Devin Supertramp. Like you guys go hard, and you work so hard, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot on my body, but it's
your
been fun.
Yeah, your eyes are in your brace.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's that moment, like you said, in that 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like especially if you're in a moment, like I was shooting in Chicago and I wanted to get a train going through the sunlight, but the sun needed to be in the perfect spot. And everything that kind of needed to be just right.
Yeah.
But when you get to that moment and you're like, oh man, this is it. Don't mess up. Like this is it. And you do it, and then afterwards you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Those that feels just as good as, if I'm on a set too. So it's both. Like what's
cool about that too, and the difference between having like a set that I've found is you have that moment, you got the stars have to align, like the timing, the sun, your angle, everything, and then you can't, it's like a wedding when someone's getting married, you can't mess that up. You have to get it.
You're one time.
Yeah. And then there's the other side of it where when you're on set, like we were shooting a commercial here not too long ago, and I was grabbing a video for the video, but then we were also going to take a picture for a billboard. One picture, huge, on a billboard. And it's like you have all the time in the world to like get that one freaking shot.
Yeah.
And you do it 1,000 times because you're like, I don't freaking know, like we could try this, maybe this. There's good and bad with both of those scenarios, but man, love all of it.
Yeah. And my kids remind me when I'm doing a shot like that, they're like, it doesn't need to be perfect.
Yes.
And then I'm like, well, actually it does.
I can make it perfect.
I can make it perfect, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
But then there's times with that where I'm like, it's not perfect, light's not perfect, but like the moment,
yes,
you get that one moment and you're like, that's it. You don't have any other time. Like this is the one time, and there's something about that too. And I think we both like that because of the sports aspect of it. Because like with sports, you can't tell somebody to make that unbelievable catch one more time. You better freaking get it. You better get it. And I watched a game, I can't remember who was playing the other day, and the guy had made a one-handed catch, but the camera guy, he missed it. He missed the ball in the head, and I was like, see, you had that one shot, dude. That was it.
Now you're getting moved off camera and find a new.
So I was like, you get that one shot, and there's something about that adrenaline. I think both of us like loving sports. I think you get that, you know.
Well, I've graduated all the way to now filming my second graders football games. So that's how far I've come in life.
Dude, I love it.
Going from UVU to GoPro,
Dude,
and now I'm just shooting my kids'
that's
football
the best stuff to film, man.
Is
Those highlight reels are so fun.
And you get that same rush, like you get it. Like
Oh, yeah.
these second graders, man, they make some unbelievable plays. Sometimes I'll miss them, and I got parents. Hey, did you get that? And it's like, shut up, don't
Yeah,
worry about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, I'm always like that. I have my camera on. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you filming my kid too?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No,
No,
but
just no.
but maybe I'll cross the frame once in a while."
Yeah, give me $500 and I get you a shot. They're like, I got $5.
Yeah, exactly.
God, you obviously don't know what I do for a living. So that's all amazing. You did mention that feeling of like, you kind of talked about when you were a kid and like, yeah, I want to go back to the beginning now that we kind of understand where you're at. You're a DP, you're the guy, you're a freelancer. All these people call you, you've got a great network, and you're there to run camera in, I guess, any direction you need, documentary, cinematic, situation, commercials, music videos. You've shot a lot for us. You've DP'd for me a ton of times, and it's been so much fun. You're there, and it sounds like you've got more things you're working towards. But let's take it all the way back to the beginning. I want to hear that first moment when you were like, I want to be a DP, which you probably didn't think. You thought, I like cameras maybe, but I just want to hear if that's where it started, what was that moment? And then let's start talking about your journey, man, all the way up to where you are now.
Man. So the very first moment I was like, this is what I want to do. And I've always wanted to do this. Like, this was never something that I'm like, this is going on like a backup plan. I didn't ever have really a backup plan because I was like, no, I'm doing this. Yeah. And I think the first moment that I remember more than anything was, so my parents growing up had in their room a VHS video camera.
Accurate.
And so they used that though for their VCR. And so I came home one day from school. I was in third grade. I came home and wanted to watch a movie. I threw in a movie. But then I I remember this switch very well. There was a little switch on the side, like on the side handle, where you can switch it from VHS or VCR to camera.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I switched it, and then I noticed everything in the room was being on the TV because it was connected to the TV. Yeah. And so I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Yeah. And so I was just like filming around the room and stuff. And so my brother just got home, my younger brother, and I was like, yelled down at him, hey, come upstairs, let's do a movie. And so we started shooting. Yeah. Because I saw my dad shooting, and like, but I always was fascinated by like the behind the scenes ever since like an early age. Like, I loved Ghostbusters, watching behind the scenes of Ghostbusters, the whole thing. And so I was just very into it, and I just started making movies with my brother, and then it just kept getting more and more, and everyone was like, oh, this is fun, it's cute, that you're doing this, but eventually you might want to do something else type thing. And I was like, no, I'm doing this. But I was always a hands-on guy because I have ADHD, and so like I was always very hands-on. I didn't do well in school because of it, because I was just constantly need to be moving. Yeah. And I think that's why I wanted to do cameras, and I love just visualizing it, I don't know, through the camera. Yeah. And so by the time I got into 7th grade, I was very into the show Rocket Power. I don't know if you ever seen Rocket Power.
Loved Rocket Power.
So Rocket Power, I was very into it, and I was like, man, like we can merge sports and film together. And so I was like, all right. And I was a huge snowboarder, and I got this camera, I think it was a Hi8 camera or something, some kind of tape camera, for Christmas, and I would take it snowboarding with me, and me and my brothers would make little snowboarding videos and whatnot. And then that's how I kind of started editing, because I would edit the stuff.
What were you editing on?
That time, either iMovie for sure. Yeah. And Pinnacle.
I never heard of that.
There was a Pinnacle. That's what I used. I had this little adapter where I could plug my camera into my computer. Yeah. And with the RCA cables through the Pinnacle. Yeah, dude. So it was a Pinnacle edit. It was super cheesy. Like, I'd make little slideshows, videos for my family and whatnot, But then I started really getting into it though, like with those cameras, and like I made a movie with my brother and all my buddies, and we all kind of got together. That was like my first thing. In fact, my reel that's coming out that I'm still working on right now has a little bit of it in it. So of that movie, I was able to find it recently, and my brother, who had passed now, he's in it, and so it's kind of fun to just kind of look back and see how far, you know.
That's so cool. So you've got like a theme for your demo.
And so I got a little. So anyway, so I kept just growing from that and just wanting to do it, and just my passion for it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, where that's all I wanted to do. So in high school, I did tons of film projects with my buddies. We did a Star Wars project where we did lightsabers. We did the very dark stuff where,
And you were always, were you like the director, DP?
I was always like the director. I always wanted to be a director.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I didn't really understand what a director of photography was.
You thought a director ran camera. And
yeah. I thought they just, but I did know that there was different positions because like I said, I would watch all the behind the scenes. And I remember one, like the Tomb Raider behind the scenes. I remember watching those.
That's awesome.
And it was like these cool action sequences, and I loved going to Universal Studios. And whenever I went there, I remember seeing how they did the sound effects, and some guy took a sheet metal and went like this and to make thunder, and I was like, this is so cool. I could do that. I could do, and I started thinking I could do that. And the more things I could see and the more exposure I got to like the bigger projects, I could be like, oh, I could do that. Yeah, I could do this. And so during high school, though, by my junior year, I was working, as a landscaper for my grandparents and my uncle, and I was also working I worked at the Sierra Movie Theater in Orem, and I did just all these things that I could do, just kind of be hands-on. I was a cook at a place called Training Table, and I was like, you know what? Like, what am I doing? Like, why don't I try to figure out how to get into this? And so I started an internship with the local city government's channel, iProvo.
And that's where you met Jack.
And no, so this was before that.
Sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead.
Oh no, so this is me in junior year. So they had an internship
before that.
Yeah, so they had an internship at iProvo. Which I took, and I would run camera for different events and stuff that the city had going on. But they wanted to create like several different shows for content just for their channel, because it was called Channel 17, but then it turned into iProvo, and they wanted to be their own studio. So we started doing a sports show, and those guys ended up going on to doing awesome stuff, and we did this sports show with these two guys, and I would go to all these different high school games and shoot different highlights for football, basketball, whatnot. And that was fun because like I said, it was something that I can intermix sports aspect into it, and I helped produce this show. And then we did a cooking show. I remember doing this full-on cooking show, but that also helped me like learn how to stylize props and stuff. And I'm only a junior, and I'm learning all this stuff.
That's cool.
And so I did that my junior and senior year.
So like as you were in this though, like you started out just using your parents' camera, and then you started getting these internships. Was it still the same in your mind? The end goal, was it still to be where you are now, or were you like, I want to be in movies? Like, I'm just curious where your head's at in high school.
Yeah, the head's at in high school. I wanted to do movies. I definitely wanted to do films.
Like the director.
As a DP. At this point, I was like, I'm like, you know what? I know I'm not a director. I really love using cameras. And I think when I started that internship, that's when I really noticed like how much I loved cameras and not directing. And so I
a quiet guy behind the camera.
And then I remember doing this one show. Well, this was another thing. We did a mayor's show every morning on Monday morning at 6 a.m. that was live, and I would help run all the cameras and stuff for it and do the switching. And I was like, I don't want to do this. But I did that for a couple of years, and it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Just about like that kind of documentary style where you kind of had to adapt in certain situations, because you go to these city centers and I mean, they're awfully ugly. They're terrible looking all over, and you're just like, how do I make this look anything fine? And just learning kind of like how to adapt. And like for instance, like one high school game I remember very well. It was at your old high school, Lehigh.
Lehigh, yeah. We probably sucked. Well, we might.
You probably were playing when I was there.
How old were you?
This was in 2005.
So I wasn't playing football. I was playing basketball. I didn't play until 2006. Oh, so maybe. But I wasn't on varsity. So if you were filming varsity.
It was a miserable game. So whoever was playing.
It was Provo versus Lehigh.
No, it was just a random, because they would do everybody in Utah County.
Yeah.
And so like they would even include BYU. Like we had a couple of like Johnny Harlan and John Beck or whatever from the old catch from Utah that beat the game, whatever.
Yeah.
We had them on, and so like we did all these different games, but this high school game in particular, it was pouring rain, just pouring rain.
Dang.
And I got there and I was like, oh man, I don't have anything for the camera. And I was supposed to go up on top to film these highlights. And so I grabbed like this plastic bag, like a grocery sack, and I ripped a hole over it and put it over the camera and made it work. And you know, it did it. But it was at that age though, I was like, oh cool, I'm learning these things. And so it just kind of helped me build where I was at. But I still wanted to do movies. I still wanted to move to California.
That was always the end goal. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to move to California. And then fast forward to college.
So you were like, still want to get there. So what's the next step? I need to apply somewhere or go to college? How did you choose UVU?
So I chose UVU because I'm from Provo.
Yeah.
And I just
didn't want to go to BYU.
I didn't want to go to BYU. That was for sure. And I heard UVU's program.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Was pretty good. Yeah. And so I was like, like I said, I wasn't very good in school because I had ADHD. Yeah. So my testing scores were terrible.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't need that to get in.
Yeah.
Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah.
And so I started there, and it was great. It was great for the first bit, and then it got even better once we finally got into the program. Then I met you, and then I met
getting done with your generals, all that bull crap.
Yeah.
And
after we got done. Yeah. Once you get into it,
film.
Yeah. Once you get into it, you're like, all right, cool, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And then just kind of connected and networked with a ton of people.
Yeah.
Like we became buddies, and
how many times did you take broadcasting?
I think I only
just the once.
Really? I only did the once. Well, because I was working for this. After I graduated high school, Provo City offered me a job.
That's right.
And so I was able to get on full time with them.
Yeah.
And so I did this for full time while I was going to school at UVU, and so I was able to be like, hey, I'm already doing this. Can I just get the credit?
That's cool.
And then on the side, I was actually doing stuff for ESPN, for college football. And so I would go on and just say, hey, I'm doing stuff already for ESPN. I don't know, and this is like cool. And the professor's like, oh, okay, all right. And so I only had to take it once.
That's cool. I took it 3 times, and I met you in that class, and then I took it again and met Zane. That's how I got Zane too. It's funny, the broadcasting brought us together.
Dude, that's so cool. Yeah, Zane, I met in acting class at UVU.
Oh, is that where you met? I didn't know you met him at UVU. Yeah,
I met him at UVU.
Yeah, because you guys were buddies before I was buddies, because you guys were in the same team that did your senior project.
Yeah, we did our senior project together. Yeah, but we became buddies from our acting class. And me, I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
One single bit. Zane is fantastic, and I'm sure he was fantastic on your first episode.
Yeah.
But I remember Zane just being really cool, and then that's when I kind of started meeting him, and then you, and then I started meeting people that were like, okay, there's some cool people.
Some cool people. And we're not the favorites that are.
Yeah, exactly.
So one thing that Zane said in his podcast was that he was a little bit schemy and tactical about how he got into as he became a director. He went to UV, and I learned this. He had this sidestepping to become a director, or just known as that. He wanted to be he was like, I'm going to do Steadicam so that I can get into the industry, but I don't want to be a Steadicam operator. And then he did all these other things, and now as a director. Was it always a straight line for you, or you as tactical as he was, or was it each step you're like, okay, I still like to film. Obviously you were a director. No, I want to film. So it's was it like that for you? Was it a straight line to where you're at?
It was pretty straight.
Yeah.
It was pretty straight, because I knew I always wanted to be a DP or a cinematographer. In fact, after college, when we were doing after I did my senior projects, and I knew I wanted to be DP. I knew I wanted to be the DP.
Yeah.
That's like when I graduated, I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
But then I remember going on a shoot with a buddy of mine, who's now doing big car commercial stuff, and he gave me some advice when we were just hanging out. And he was like, if you want to be a DP, be a DP. If you want to be a gaffer, be a gaffer. If you want to do this, stick to it and just go for it. And so I kind of just stuck with that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of already had it growing up, because I always, like you said, like I filmed this and I'm like, oh, that was fun. Still like doing it. Doing it. And I kind of just filmed.
Yeah.
I just took a camera everywhere, and I filmed so much.
Yeah.
And I have hard drives of stuff. Just like I did a TV show in high school. Like we did a pilot episode of this like sitcom, like drama, kind of like Laguna Beach was huge at the time. And so they wanted to do something, like friends of mine wanted to do something like that, and another friend wanted to do a snowboarding video, but I was just always shooting, always doing something. And so I guess that's why I was like, this naturally just falls to what I want to do. So it was pretty straight. But then I think after I talked to my buddy, he was that conversation of like, do it. Like if you're gonna do it.
You're that guy.
And so I took that mentality. Then I found out my late wife was pregnant at the time, and I was like, well, I don't know if going to California right now is a good idea. But then I started working with Zane, and then we started doing this documentary that they wanted to do, where we interviewed these different musicians, and that kind of let me transition out of my job with the government at Provo City to, okay, now I'm going to start. It was just that next step to where like this is opening the door to those bigger opportunities. So how
was that Refinement?
Yeah, that was Refinement.
So you were at the city, and that's where you met Jack. But then,
yeah,
who was at Refinement first?
Zane,
and then he brought you over, and you brought Jack.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and then so, but when I was at the city, like I met Jack. We're just fantastic director. And then I also met Brandon Crow years ago when we served a mission together in Korea. So I met him there, and then I ran into him later on at the channel doing a game, and he happened to be a sports broadcaster.
Gotcha.
And so he wanted to do commentary. So I was like, hey dude, you want to jump in on this game, because our guy quit. So he jumped in, and then that's where he started. And then now he's a sports producer for
very cool
BOE TV. And so we worked together, but we worked at the channel together. He started at the channel, and we all did this, we all kind of came together then. And then Zane, then I used to introduce everyone to Jack and Zane, and then we started Refinement, and then we ended up, then you came on board for a brief moment, and then
we talked about that in Zane's too. It was like, I came on, and then they didn't want me, so I took my chance with Devin Supertramp and ended up making that a thing. And so you worked at Refinement, which became Big Door.
Yeah.
And then we all know what happened there. We don't really need to go into much detail.
Yeah. So
you obviously had jobs.
Yeah.
What made you take the leap and become a freelancer? So I guess, was it right after that you just went full time on your own?
Yeah. So right after Big Door, or during Big Door, I was like, because I was shooting everything for him, and I was their main DP, and I was color grading, and I was doing a lot of post stuff, and I was like, you know what, like, I could do this. And then I started kind of taking side jobs and did like smaller projects on my own or with other people. And I got into post a lot more with color grading and whatnot. So that kind of helped me get into different avenues, just for like the side hustle type of thing. And then after a while, I was like, after I kind of got a few of those bigger commercials under my belt, like I was able to have that more. Like I was able to have that back me up a little bit, to where I could be like, hey, no, I can do this on my own, like, because I was contacted by a couple of agencies, outside of Big Door during the time I was at Big Door, hey, do you want to come shoot this for me? And I'm like, hey, I don't know. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna make the jump. And it was scary. Like, it was like going from full-time to just be like, all right, here you go, when you have 2 kids and the family and you're trying to figure everything out. But I knew like I could do it.
Yeah. What was that like, that transition? Like, was it actually scary?
No.
You didn't? That's what.
No, it wasn't.
We'll find
I
out.
think the scariest part was when I did it, I didn't have really any jobs yet. But I didn't know that in the freelance world, it could be tons of jobs at once or no jobs at all.
Yeah.
And that's just feast or famine type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of navigating that. But so I think that was the hardest part. But then I reached out to a bunch of people. I'm like, hey, I went freelance.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to create a network. So when I did go freelance, I was able to reach out to everybody and be like, hey, I'm freelance now. Let's work together. And that kind of exploded from there. Cool. And I just kind of worked on all sorts of projects with so many different people. And because of my background of just kind of I could either do documentary, naturally lit, or I can go full on. I think that helped me a lot.
Yeah, you're jack of all trades in the indie world.
Yeah, it definitely helped me get more jobs. Because I was able to, they're like, oh, well, somebody else, if they did this, they would be like, oh, I have to have like 3 hours to light this if you wanted to make it look good. Where I'm like, no, man, let's just throw up like this, and this, and this, and then see where we go. And if we need to add, adjustments to it, let's make it happen. And so that definitely helped me get more jobs. So I think that mixed with just having those commercials and those bigger projects under my belt, I think definitely just kickstarted it to where I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. So now that we're kind of caught up to where we started, where you're like, hey, you're the DP, you're a guy, you have a great network, which is very important. I think the most important thing in this industry is creating a network and being a good person and being great to work with and having integrity and all that stuff. So now you're here. What does it look like moving forward? Do you have a game plan of where you want to take things? Do you want to keep doing what you're doing? Or are you looking for, let's just stop there. The question is, what's next for James? Like, is that going to stay the same? You just try, like, what is it?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
I like where things are going right now. I think for me, I'm trying to figure out different ways to create income rather than just one straight, like, hey, I'm a DP.
Yeah.
Hire me.
You get paid when you work.
Hire me. I'm going to just show up. Yeah. So I'm looking for ways of being like, no, I could do this. I went the stock footage route.
Yeah, I remember that.
Some stock footage that I get a little bit from, and then I went and did this Amazon route where I'm kind of doing these little smaller projects, where it's majority myself doing them. And then I do still the bigger projects. I do bigger campaigns, for product launches or whatnot.
Yeah.
And, just different things in the documentary side where I'm like, I'm going out to do these little features, which are smaller, which is nice because then I'm not away from the family a whole lot, but I'm also getting that experience of being like, no, you're here, you have this moment, you either get the shot or you don't, type of thing. And I think those all together just kind of help me stay sane.
Yeah.
And so
a few different things and not just the one thing.
Yeah, just not have it, like I said, because I need to have something going on.
That's how.
But like, I think right now, what's next for me is I'm just trying to figure out how can I grow that even more.
Yeah.
To where I can help with other people, or I can help, in any way I can, but also not like work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Like try not to kill yourself on a job.
Yeah.
Where you can bring in income from all over.
Yeah.
And I think I learned that early, like at the city, and doing all those different programs.
Yeah.
Being like, no, you can make money doing this. And like I do like side projects on the side, like in high school, where I'd get paid. I'm like, oh man, you can actually do this and get paid for it and do this and this and this. And so I think from then on, I just kind of thought that way, where I'm like, how can I bring in different income from all over?
Yeah.
But but also keep that passion,
Yeah.
like, and because for me, if I kept doing one thing, like at Big Door, we did a TV show called Backstage Avenue where we interviewed tons of different bands from all over the country, but also pretty popular bands. And so like we'd get in these situations, like I did an interview with Macy Gray in a boiler room where she went like this the whole time, and I'm like trying to pull focus, and I'm like, dude, this sucks. And so like, but you get in those situations, and those are fun because each situation's different.
Yeah.
Like you never get put, like it's not repetitive, like sit down and do the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And I think doing those different projects, like I think that's what helps me.
Yeah.
Like not only stay sane, but also like helps me keep that passion, keep it alive,
keep
the
you
fire.
Enjoying it.
Yeah, it keeps the fire alive, and it just benefits everybody more than anything. And then like become friends with a lot of cool people.
Yeah, and meet so many people. You get to travel.
Yeah, and you get to meet so many cool people along the way.
Yeah,
and I think that's what drives me. And so I think my goal is never to be like, I'm just gonna step back and do my thing.
Yeah.
I think my goal is to just kind of help other people any way I can, and yeah, just be cool. Because if you're cool, like it goes a long way to be cool. It goes a long way to not be an idiot or, that on set. So
for sure. It's like that's your network, right? People want to call you back because you're great to work with. You're awesome to have on set.
Exactly.
You're a vibe. You're cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of been my goal throughout my career, just to be able to learn from people. But you're not gonna learn from anybody if you're not being cool.
Yeah.
So
I have a question, and this is more related to what I'm doing, and I'm just curious. So you're a DP, you're a filmmaker, you're doing everything yourself, right? So my mentality has always been to get to an end game of not doing it and running something that does it, right? And training people that actually do that for me. And it's more just like it's like a lifestyle thing for me.
Absolutely.
Kind of a longevity thing. Being there, just being able to choose what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
Curious your thoughts on that. Like, is that something that you would want to dive into, you're curious about? Like, I'm just curious this is, like I said, this is more of a selfish question for me that I'm curious about for you. Are you wanting to be a DP forever? Do you want to run camera forever? Or do you have like a game like in 10, 20 years where you're like, I'm not doing it, but I'm still making money? It sounds like yes. But like, I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to get into a spot where I'm still hands-on in a way, but also be like, hey, no, you can do this. Like, I want to get to that position. Like for instance, the stock footage route, shoot it, send it.
Yeah.
I get paid royalties from it, and I don't have to do anything after that. It just comes in. So yeah, absolutely. I would love to, I would love to get to that point, to where I can create a team, not even create a team, but create a network.
Yeah.
Where I can be like, if I get a job, be like, hey, who would be great with this?
Yeah.
And then introduce. Because I love working with all these different productions because they're just, everyone's cool, and I just want to help everybody out if possible, and if it fits, why not? Like I would love to get to that point where I'm still kind of hands-on, but more like I can hire the young bucks. Use this more.
Is like, as you get older, this starts to fade, and the mind stays strong. And that's my thing too. Is like I want to be able to teach people. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. It's also the purpose of this school community I'm creating, if you've heard of it, which is a place where filmmakers can go and just learn how to get to the point where they are doing what they want. So they're still able to keep that passion alive, which I think is important for creators.
Absolutely.
I can still film, I can still edit, but I'm also not strapped by every single job. And so it's teaching people how to get to that point where they're living like their ideal lifestyle.
So cool, man.
So
good stuff.
Little plug for the community if you want to check that out. But I want to just wrap this up with, let's just get one, this is probably your least favorite part, but I just want to get one thought for like the young kid that it's not using a VHS camera, he's using a GoPro or his parents' phone. How, if he wants to run camera, obviously with technology changing, AI, cameras, what's your advice to that person on becoming let's just say a camera operator first to DP? Is there any advice you would give to them right now on how to get there, or just head that direction?
Absolutely. Understand composition, and understand not only that, but when you can compose a shot, there's nothing that bothers me more than when people compose it and like say there's way too much headroom or whatever.
You're living in that world,
and you're like, dude, but I always hear, oh, that's a nice looking picture if someone takes it right, or that's a nice video or whatever. And so to me, I'm like, if you're young, like I said with me, all I did was shoot. I just grabbed a camera and I practiced, like knowing the basics of exposure, focus, and how to compose a shot, and understanding those things. And kind of, I think as right now you have so many resources, way more than I had when I was like trying to figure all this stuff out. Like you have YouTube where you can be like, okay, how do I compose a shot? How do I light a shot? How do I, you can look, there's so many different resources now to where you can really dive into it with just a phone. Like you don't even have to have,
I'm always preaching phones nowadays. Like camera show you, I'm like, yo, just learn how to use your phone.
Just use your phone. And I love it. But it's the best way. Like my kids right now, I'm like, because my son wants to do this ad for his class project, and I'm like, all right, well, you're gonna shoot it, and I'll sit here and watch you shoot it, but I'm not gonna tell you how to shoot it. And I just tell him every so often, I'm like, no, move the camera over here just slightly, get this tree or whatever, or this sunset or this flare or whatever, and just knowing and getting really good at that will get you jobs as camera operators, get you jobs, and which is another thing. I do a lot of camera op stuff too, which you get a lot of jobs from that. And so you get a lot of jobs from being a camera operator, because you just know how to compose a shot. Like if you just compose a shot and learn how to catch the moments, you'll be cruising.
Here's an unpopular opinion that I just thought of: go shoot weddings. Dude, there's nothing better than shooting chaos, people, and having to be on your game during the ceremonies or the whole cutting the cake.
The whole time you cannot. You literally. You have no. I think that's perfect. Like I think a wedding or a concert or any of those
true concerts,
like any of those live events, sports. Like if you're like, oh, I want to do sports. Contact your local high school. Like I used to be like, hey, I'm just gonna go to the field and shoot some stuff for the school. And so like, but what that does is it helps you with your composition, because your exposure, like I said, you're in all sorts of different situations, especially with concerts. Like for instance, I did a concert a couple of years ago for Imagine Dragons, and we were
very cool.
And we were shooting, and I was on the floor, and my job was to be on a gimbal, and I was going back and forth following the lead singer on this catwalk thing, and it was epic, because at one point he jumped off the stage and ran through the crowd, and I looked around and I'm like, all right, no one else is going to jump on this, I guess I'm going to do it. So I start booking it with him, and I'm holding the gimbal, and I'm running behind the singer, and he's going through people, and the people are spreading out for him, opening up the seas for him,
and they're just crushing it.
And then the seas just go behind for me, and I'm like jumping through people, and if you watch it, there's a shot where you see the shot of me jumping off stage with him and running. I like totally nail somebody, and like people are like punching me and like all this stuff, and you just gotta keep that shot,
but stay composed while you're getting beat up by a crowd.
But like, it's pure chaos. Like there is nothing else to describe that moment other than like adrenaline and chaos. And then, but because I've been shooting for so long, like I was able to stay in the zone and stay focused and keep getting the shot while literally everything is collapsing behind you. So I think that's like huge for young kids or anybody that wants to do film, is learn how to compose a shot, because that will go a long way, and you will get a lot of work if you do that, because then it just opens up so many different avenues.
Compose a shot and then edit your footage.
Edit
If
your
you
footage.
don't,
Exactly.
how many
Yeah.
times have we shot and been like, that was a damn good shot,
Yeah.
and then you go back and edit, you're like, that was so shaky, or that was
Oh,
the word, that was out of focus.
That is a good point, because like for me also, because I edit,
Yeah.
I've been editing for so long,
Yeah.
and for me, like when I'm shooting, I'm like, how is this gonna all cut together?
Yeah.
Like I start piecing together the spot in my mind,
Yeah.
or like whatever I'm shooting, I'm like, is that gonna look cool in slow motion? Did I get that right, or did I?
You're editing it in your head.
Yeah, you're editing in your head, and then like it helps you anticipate
Yeah.
any problems that you have on set, because then like whether it's a controlled set or not, like you have that mindset where you're like, okay, if I do this, I can light it here and here, and then because I know they're gonna cut between this part and this part.
Yeah.
And you know that they're gonna do that, and you know whoever's gonna do it, you know yourself is gonna do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it saves my butt many times in post.
So basically, people nowadays have all the resources, way more than we could ever have imagined back in the day. It just comes down to taking action and actually freaking getting out there, getting off the couch, getting off YouTube, watching tutorials, and going and starting to shoot.
Absolutely.
So I agree with that 1000%. That's the hardest thing
Shoot.
nowadays, is like, go out and do stuff. Go out.
Yeah.
Like my kid's always wanted to, he's like, how do I do this? It's like, go do it. Take my phone. He's
Do it.
shooting like all day, every day with his little camera.
I love it. So good.
It's so fun to watch
So
the
fun.
kids actually.
Yeah,
Hopefully
just
take after us a little bit, because it's fun to,
yeah. My daughter wants to be a photographer.
then heck
So
yeah,
like
man.
my wife's a photographer,
Yeah.
and she's great, and so we bounce off ideas and stuff.
Well, they've got it in,
and they got it in,
Yeah.
and they can run with it or however they want to.
That's I really hope my kid latches onto it, and I'm trying not to be pushy with it. Like I want it to be fun.
Absolutely.
Because he'll have a really great career if he does. But cool, dude. Well, that's it.
Dude,
That wasn't
I
that-
appreciate you having me on. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I'm not. This is very not my norm of being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
At all.
I know I was a little
Or in
nervous.
front of the microphone in front of my face. Like
I
I'm
gotta
not usually-
light this. I hope you're looking at me right now. I know you are. You're analyzing the light. You're looking at
I didn't think about the light one bit.
because I do it all the time when I'm talking to people. I'm like looking at their face and looking at how the light hits. I'm like, I'm lighting a set for a DP right now. Like no pressure on me,
Yeah.
but
Dude,
I think it's gonna turn out great. So
I appreciate you having me out, man.
that's gonna be it. I'm gonna turn to this camera now, so it's a little awkward. But that's it for this podcast. Make sure to like it, subscribe to this channel. We mean Zane laugh because I have not said that in like 5 to 6 years. I used to say it again, over and out.
Over and out, baby.
But I've just started doing it again as of last podcast. So subscribe to our channel. We're gonna do a lot more of these. Hope you guys learned something. Make sure to go check out James on Instagram.
Yeah.
James Terry DP.
Yeah, James Terry DP or James Terry 188.
Cool.
So either one.
Personal and your Insta, like your real one.
Yeah.
Do you have like a YouTube channel or anything?
I don't really do YouTube, but if you go on my Instagram, you'll see my website and you'll see whatever
Perfect.
stuff I
So
do.
check out his website on his Instagram and go follow him. Make sure to go check out school. We're building the community for filmmakers like James and I to learn what we're doing, right? We want to build a community that's super awesome for people to grow their careers, kind of navigate, choose, don't make as many mistakes as we did along the way, right? We want to excel that for you guys and skip a lot of the problems that you might run into. So thank you again for watching, and that's the end of this one.
Thanks, man. It was great.
Cool.
Dude,
Thanks for doing that.
well done, man.
Not bad.
Well done. So hopefully I gave you something.